Okay, so let's talk about something wild that's happening in the catering world. Really good caterers, the ones with amazing food, are getting fired. And believe it or not, it has absolutely nothing to do with their cooking. We're going to dive into this one missing ingredient that's literally changing the entire game and costing businesses millions. I mean, think about it like this. What if Netflix just threw, I don't know, 5,000 random movies at you? No categories, no for you section. Would you keep your subscription? Of course not. You'd cancel in a heartbeat. And that's because companies like Netflix, Spotify, Amazon, they've trained us. We expect personalization now. They don't guess what we want, they know. And that has set a brand new standard for, well, pretty much everything. And right there, that's the key. This whole personalization thing, it's not a fancy add-on anymore. It's the baseline. It's what everyone expects. I mean, if you and I demand this for a simple monthly subscription, why on earth would a corporate client, who's paying hundreds of thousands for a huge event, expect anything less for their guests? The stakes are way, way higher. So this brings us to the real problem, and the source material has this incredible analogy for it. They call it catering's Squid Game. And it's such a powerful way to think about how the old school catering model, without even meaning to, can make the guests, well, it dehumanizes them, the very people you're there to serve. Yeah, it's like the unspoken message every guest gets is, you are player 456, good luck, right? When you don't even bother to ask for their preference, you're basically treating them like a number on a spreadsheet, not a real person with actual tastes and needs. They just become a statistic, a player in this game that you're just hoping turns out okay. So what's the root cause of all this? Well, let's meet the villain of the story, the infamous 65-35 split. For decades, this was the industry standard, right? You just guess that, okay, 65% will probably want beef, 35% will take the chicken, and you just cross your fingers and hope for the best. And look, maybe that worked back in 2005, but today, it's an absolute recipe for disaster. And that disaster, it has a very, very real cost. We're not just talking about a few grumpy guests anymore. We're about to look at the actual, tangible, and honestly, catastrophic consequences of just guessing in a world that runs on data. This is what leads to something called the inclusion illusion. You see, a caterer might think they're being inclusive by offering, say, beef, chicken, and one token vegetarian dish. But what's really happening? You're creating a situation where a huge chunk of your guests are left disappointed or feeling completely ignored, or worse, they literally can't eat anything. And wow, this chart just lays it all out, doesn't it? Look at the massive gap between the caterer's guests and what people actually wanted. You prepped for 130 beef meals, but 165 people wanted it. You made 10 vegetarian dishes, but there were 35 vegetarians in the room. And this doesn't even touch on the halal and gluten-free guests, who weren't even on the radar, just completely overlooked. So here's how it all goes down on the day. The beef runs out in the first hour. Now you've got 45 people who wanted beef being forced to take chicken they didn't want. The vegetarians, they're practically fighting over a handful of meals, or worse, just eating a side salad. And the really critical part, the guests with halal or celiac needs, they feel totally invisible and frankly scared to eat. So the event coordinator, they're not celebrating. They're putting out fires and fielding complaints all night. And here it is, the real cost of that one bad night. It's not just about one failed event. It's about losing the entire client contract. We're talking a typical 5-year deal. That's over 2.5 million rands just gone. And the crazy part? It wasn't because the food was bad. It's because you guessed instead of knowing. Okay, so how do you possibly fix this? Well, the solution is actually way simpler than you'd think. It's all about adopting that Netflix mindset. Just stop guessing what people want and start using data to give them exactly what they asked for. It's that simple. You have to understand, the game has totally changed. It used to be enough to just be reliable and have a decent price. But now, clients expect a personalized experience for their guests, and they expect it to be driven by data. Your reputation isn't just built on good food anymore. It's built on precision, on data, on showing you care. And there's this great analogy from that book, Who Moved My Cheese? The old cheese, relying on your gut feeling and industry best practices, that cheese has moved. It's gone. The new cheese, the thing that guarantees success now, is data. It's the power of knowing instead of guessing. It's having that certainty before a single ingredient even hits the pan. So, what does this actually look like day to day? It's really just a simple 5-step process. First, you build a polling service right into your quote. Then, the client just sends a simple link to all their attendees. Step 3, you get real data back. Exact numbers on meal choices, allergies, the whole thing. Fourth, you prepare your kitchen based on facts, not fiction. And finally, you deliver a flawless, personalized event where every single guest feels like you catered it just for them. Okay, let's walk through this. Step 1 is your command center. Everything starts from a simple, clean dashboard where you can manage all your different events and whip up a new poll for guests in like a few clicks. Super easy. Then, for step 2, you don't have to manually email everyone. The whole invitation process is automated. You just get the guest list from your client, pop it in, and the system sends out all the invitations to collect those meal preferences. It's completely seamless for you and for them. And from the guest side, this is what they see. A really nice, professional email lands in their inbox, inviting them to choose their meal. The message it sends is so clear. We actually care about what you want. Right away, that one little step totally changes how they feel about the whole event. And then, step 4, this is the absolute game changer. You get a real-time dashboard. You can literally watch the data roll in, showing you the exact numbers for every single meal choice, every dietary need. This dashboard becomes your single source of truth. Guesswork is just gone, wiped from your operation. All right, let's get to the good part, the payoff. Because this isn't just about dodging a bullet and avoiding disaster. This is about proactively building a business that has rock-solid client loyalty and real, sustainable growth. This whole new way of doing things really delivers 3 massive wins. First, you get to completely erase the most hated phrase in catering. Sorry, we ran out. That's gone, forever. Second, your guests feel seen and truly valued, not like numbers. And third, and this is huge, you open up brand new ways to make money. You can use the data for smart upsells. Imagine saying, hey, just so you know, 23% of your team requested the premium options. It changes the whole conversation from cost to value. And when you look at the numbers, the financial impact is just staggering. If you stick to the old way, the guessing game, you're looking at predictable losses every single year from clients you tick off. But when you switch to data, you don't just stop the bleeding, you create a massive net gain. We're talking better retention, more referrals, and you can position yourself as a premium brand. The ROI is just, it's a no-brainer. So where does this all leave us? Well, it leads to a really clear and honestly pretty urgent choice. For anyone in the catering business right now, the road ahead is splitting into 2 very, very different paths. And here they are, side by side. Path 1 is the dinosaur. You're constantly fighting on price, slowly bleeding clients, and basically turning into the blockbuster video of catering. Path 2 is the future-ready caterer. You use data to become a premium partner, you win the big corporate contracts, and you build a business that's meant to last. That's the Netflix path. Which brings us to the final question. And it's a big one. This shift, it isn't a maybe. It's not a possibility. It's happening right now. It's an inevitability. So the only real question left is, which one are you going to be? The dinosaur or the future?